Hello, everybody. Kind of taking a break from doing some lives over the holidays. So I'm Kari the Mortician, and I'm back. So this is our mostly every week chat live with the Mortician. You can ask me questions about being Mortician, woman Mortician, anything you want, embalming, cemeteries, cremation. So drop your questions in the comment section over to the side or in the live chat section so I can read them and answer them for you. I had actually our 2-minute music winner. This morning we do a winner for who gets to pick the 2-minute song for the next year, Desiree B. And I have some questions she had emailed me actually. Good morning, Drew and JW and Dana and Black Greek Mafia and Susan and Linda. Hey, everybody. So good to see you guys. So Desiree had asked me, is there a time in your career you thought you couldn't continue to do this line of work? I get asked this in different ways a lot. I truly don't think there is a family I would deal with or a deceased situation I would probably deal with, unless it was like my own children or something. Knock on wood, that never happens, but that I would maybe leave the business. Otherwise, I think it would just be because of the political and things within a business running, which every business is going to deal with. But in terms of the coworkers and the functionality and some of that, I think that's why I like the freelance work a little bit more, is because I don't get caught up in as much of that. If you're not, 9 to, or not 9 to 5, because funeral directing is not really 9 to 5, but if you're not full-time on one staff at one place, you don't get caught up in as much of all of that drama. That's what would kill me in a career, is that any career is getting all that drama and stuff. So good morning, guys. Desiree also had asked me, what would you say is your least favorite task to do at work? Paperwork, something with the body, yada, yada. Working visitation is one of those love-hate things. I hate standing for long hours. I don't have to do it really much at all anymore. But in the beginning of my career, I worked visitations a lot, and you don't sit, you don't lean, you stand. I like greeting people and I like chatting with people, but it is a long, just standing there sort of thing. So I always hated that. And there's certain things dealing with the deceased, certain things that creep me out that I'd rather just never, like broken bones. Like when a foot is hanging to one side that it's not supposed to hang to, always will hate that. Yay, KD, that you caught me live. Hello, guys. Robin, catching me live. Have you ever got the news come and ask questions about the death? Yes, Logan, I have. I've had reporters show up and try and like grab the families in the parking lot when they're leaving. So I've had a family I was making arrangements with, and as they were going to their car, the news people tried to intercept them and talk to them. And I jumped out. I was like, no, leave them alone. Leave them alone. Go away. So that's when I get mama bear protective of the family. I get attached to families really quickly that I take care of. And those are the moments that I will get really protective. Thank you, Black Greek Mafia. I'll take your $2 for my next beer run. I don't go on beer runs often, but I will. My next line in Kugel I will cheers to you. But yeah, definitely the news coming is sometimes they're just invasive and pushy, but sometimes they're lovely and they want to work with you, and they ask for maybe a memorial folder that they can show on air, and maybe they'll interview some people, and sometimes the family wants to talk to them and share whatever the story is. So, hey, Alberta, have you ever done a person of a different race? Yes, I've done all sorts of ethnicities. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, you name it. Romanian, Russian, all sorts of, ethnicities. Not as much diversity in the area I'm in as there is in, maybe a bigger city or something, but I have handled cases of all different ethnicities. Yeah, I do have to go on a beer run. Maybe not at 9:30 in the morning, guys, but for my next beer with the boys, how about my beer will have been purchased by Black Greek Mafia. Linda, welcome. Thank you. What are your personal desires for your after? For me, I want to be left dead and get really stinky and then maybe a natural burial. That's kind of what I would want. It's really up to my family though. I want them to do what they need to do in the moment, whatever they need. Good morning, Sandy. Coffee in hand. So I've got my K mug this morning. I don't know why. Something about the shape and size of this mug is perfection. So perfection. I don't know why. And then I have seen a lot of older headstones that have scaly moss type stuff covering them, making them hard to read. Do you know a safe way to clean this off? You know, a lot of people will power wash some of their stones, but there is a woman is she on TikTok, guys, or Instagram, that cleans headstones and does like a video of it, and people are mesmerized by watching that. You can watch her clean all the junkiness off of the stones during the video. It's a short video. So I'm hopefully you're going to reach out to her. I know there's a man also that runs an organization down in Florida, I think it is. And he goes around and cleans up headstones at no cost all over the place. And he's super busy. So I have spoken to him, but trying to coordinate is a little bit difficult with his busy schedule. When you started a mortuary school, were any of the subjects intimidating? I'm going next fall and I'm nervous about the science part since I've always been bad at chemistry. Thank you. So, Danny, yes, chemistry is not my strong suit, but you do some equations. It's one of those things, just push through, pass the class, even if it's with bare minimum. Learn what you need to do, because you're not going to be standing in the prep room doing an equation with like CO2 plus this equals this. I don't know any embalmer who does that. If they're out there, kudos to them, but no. It's one of those things you have to pass to get through and then keep retained to pass your national boards. So some of the topic, like accounting, to me, anything number-wise is not my strong suit. So I was very intimidated by accounting because it's not something I wrap my head around easily. It's not concepts that I wrap my mind around easily. If it's any kind of a social science, psychology or sociology, anything like that, that's my cup of tea. I'm the more of the people interactive sort of thing, or anatomy. I love anatomy, but yeah, there's things that are going to be intimidating, but you just get through them, just power through, because it's such a wide, diverse range of classes. Nobody is going to be strongly suited in all of them. It's just not how anybody is made up, but you learn enough and you get enough information about each area to have footing in those areas. It is a perfect mug. I know, and like on a video, it looks like it's amazingly huge. I'm not in love with my nail color that I picked this last time. I know that's a segue there, or a side note, but have you ever had someone die and their family split the cremated remains in half? Oh, all the times. I just separated somebody into 6 different containers for all the family. So definitely, some people will go and scatter their portion. Some will bury, some will go do this, that, or the other, sometimes in 2 different cemeteries, 3 different cemeteries. So yes, people you name it, people do it with cremated remains. It's, there's once you've seen something and you think, oh, I can't see anything else. Oh yeah, they'll bring another new idea. What kind of jobs are available in the death industry without higher mortuary school level of education? Such a good question, Kelly, because I say this a lot. There's people who say, oh, I've always wanted to work in the funeral home, but I don't really want to go off to mortuary school. Not a problem. There's so many jobs. So some states, it's 2 different licenses. You're either a funeral director or you're a funeral director / embalmer, where you have to go to mortuary school. But that funeral director only is more of a trade and a license. So all you do is work and do an apprenticeship. You don't actually have to go to school for that funeral director license, but you'll have to check states and which one. So Ohio, I believe, is one of them that you don't have to go to school for that funeral director only license. There's also some states you don't have to be licensed to be an arranger. So in Michigan, you don't have to be licensed to be an arranger when you meet with families. You just have to be licensed to oversee the funeral and the cremation. So there's different, knowing the laws and the rules in the states. Pre-arranging, you have to get an insurance license, but then, and you can work through the company to get that while you're learning the job. So you can do arranging, pre-arranging, aftercare, funeral attendant, helping dress casket, depending on the laws of the state. You can do graphic design, you can work in the office, you can do all sorts of things. There's all sorts of positions, removal staff. So there's all sorts of different things you can do without actually going to mortuary school and being a licensed funeral director. I've known so many people that is what they have done, is basically like a funeral assistant, and they do all sorts of things alongside the funeral director. They just are not embalming and, signing the death certificates and stuff. So lots of opportunity out there. Good morning, Leonard. How are you? Have you seen the way they put away Bishop Ian, and why do they call it the sealing of the bier? They're sealing the casket and not the bier itself. I have not seen. I will have to look at that so I can comment on it next time. Diane, thank you. Yeah, as a nurse, you definitely see a lot. I have never been with anybody when they have died. It's one thing, it's not something I want to, well, aside from my dog when they put him to sleep. So it's one part of that shift in life to death that I've never really been a part of. I hear so many stories from people, though, a lot of people in with her family in hospice and things like that. So you hear a lot of stuff, but I've never experienced it really myself. I don't know what that ding dong was that just went off. I had someone write to me and they wanted to share that. So during COVID, we've had so many restrictions on funerals and things. So Michigan was at 10 people for a funeral or visitation or anything for a really long time. We finally shifted to 25, which was a lot better because 10 is, you can't even get all the kids in for a funeral at 10 a lot of times. So 25 was much better, more comfortable number. It's still very restrictive, but it allows a family to at least, get the majority of that immediate family in. Hey, Philip. And so they had come up with an idea of doing a memory book for someone who died and couldn't have a funeral, and asking people to send a memory and printing off the ones that were shared online and kind of creating a book that they could go to in place of those moments they would have shared with people telling them stories in person. They have that book they can reference. And she said that brought her a lot of comfort. I know that people across the world are doing all sorts of things during the COVID restrictions to try to bring comfort during a time of loss. We encounter right now people that they couldn't even be with their family member when they died. They couldn't see them for months before their death. And then they're told they can't have a funeral, or they can't see them, or they can't do this, that, or the other. Funeral homes are making a lot of their choices for themselves as to whether you can view someone who has COVID, whether they'll embalm someone who has COVID, whether you can, have a public viewing, whether you can have a funeral. Funeral homes have to also look after themselves and their staff. Because if one person gets infected at the funeral home, basically the funeral home has to shut down for a quarantine period. And that means, in a larger city, that means that you may have a funeral home that handles 400 or 500 calls that can't handle those calls. So then what's going to happen to those 400 or 500, during those calls during that period? So we have to look out for ourselves along with caring for families and caring for those who have COVID. And yes, the virus is active after death. We don't know 100% that it is made inactive by embalming, but we do our best and do everything we know and can do to make the virus inactive with embalming. But it is still active. This is news to people. We get nurses and doctors even who say, well, what does it matter if you have a COVID patient? That there's no virus anymore? There is. But Right now, funeral directors are having a hard time in a lot of areas, even getting the vaccine if they want it, because they're not considered essential enough, which is crazy because a lot of funeral directors I know that I've talked to across the country have had double the death rates in the last few months. That's double the death calls, double the cremations, double the burials, double everything. Some casket companies are having a hard time getting product. It has been a struggle for a lot of places, especially small places that have limited staff. And then if they get sick on top of it, that is quite a challenge that the rest of the staff maybe has to step up and do even more. And when it's a lot. So there's a lot going on right now in our business. Hey, Robert, good question. I need to reach out and ask them when that's going to be happening. Let me go back. I want to make sure I don't. One of my family friends owns a funeral business. He told me that he sees families fight over what possessions they're getting before this person has passed away. Do you see this sometimes? We do, not as often as you would think. It doesn't happen as often. I think in some areas, some situations are more than others with that, Matthew. It just depends. I don't see it very often. A lot of that happens immediately following the funeral. That's when things often go to the crapper, is when as soon as that casket's lowered or as soon as the cremation's done, that's when people kind of lose their minds. A good friend of mine has told me he wants to be a pallbearer. He wants me to be pallbearer when he dies. I'm Baptist, he's Catholic. No. There is definitely a difference in the funerals. The Catholic service has a very outlined regiment to the Mass of Christian burial. So you just have to stand up and sit down at the right times and things, but there's no difference in being pallbearers. If I choose to be cremated, must I pay full price for a casket, even if there's no viewing? No, most crematories will require a minimum container, which could be a cardboard box or something like that. They're not just cardboard boxes that we just find on the street and we crumple you up and put you in it. They're a rigid box that you're laid in. It has handles on the side and a lid that goes on it. It's created for cremation. It's not just a random cardboard box, but most will require at least that you're put in. Good morning from Pittsburgh. Hey, Miss Liz. How accurately do you feel the death industry is portrayed on TV and in movies? Not really. So I was watching Schitt's Creek the other day, which is my new obsession. Nobody told me how funny it was. So I've been watching it, and there was a scene where David and not Frankie, I want to call her Frankie. What's her name? It's Stevie. Go because Stevie's aunt died or something, and they go to the funeral home, and it's like, it was so bad. It was funny. It was bad. Where the funeral director comes in, and he's just this pale, slimy, just in the white shirt with the black jacket and the black tie, and they make him out to be this like sleazy guy, and they bring in this bag of cremated remains in just the plastic, like he carries it in and like plops it. And I don't know if this is your family member, because they come back with no tags, but here you go. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not reality. But we are a industry that is easy to make fun of and easy to pick on and easy to turn into the bad guy. And so that is used a lot for humor and for other things. So, we kind of take it in stride, but sometimes it's hurtful, especially when we're not made to be the good guy often, and we do a lot of good. So sometimes that's hard. Hi, Kari. How are you? From United Kingdom. Hello, Adam. Have you been to the mausoleum where Michael Jackson is laid to rest? No, I have not. I think he is in, I don't know if he's in Forest Lawn or the Forest Lawn that I went to, or if he's in one of the other forest lawns out in California. Diane, my mom decided to put our names on each item so the four of us kids won't argue when she passes. It's funny, if you turn it upside down, there's a name taped on it. I love it. My grandma did that as well on one visit. She's like, pick what you want when I die. And it was like, oh. And when you're a kid, when you're like, 10, that's so weird to do, or however old I was. It was always kind of weird. A question off the top of my head. There are a lot of theories about where we go after we die. Paradise, purgatory, Where do you think we go when we die? Nope, not putting me on the spot. That's what this is for, Joe. I am a Christian. I believe in heaven. I like to believe in whatever heaven is like. I can't say what it is because you don't experience it until you die. But I believe that there is a better, magical something that is after this, that is God, and that is Jesus, and that is all of it. So I think it's nice to believe in something, and everybody has different beliefs. Everybody, and I respect everybody's beliefs, because who's to say what one person is better than another just because of their beliefs? But if I believe in my belief, that means it's right and yours isn't. But I can't think that way about other people's beliefs, because it's grandiose that I would be correct and you are not. So I just have my belief and I carry it and it's mine, and everything. So I can do just a couple more questions, guys. Thanks, Leonard. We do know a few things about heaven. Yes, we do, Nathan. We do. Is it okay to leave a body on the floor covered in embalming room if very busy? No. Nobody should ever be put on the floor. There is a million other options than the floor. I've been on a tour to Elvis Presley's house, and it's amazing. You can feel his presence there as well. Isn't he buried out in the entry, like out in the garden, out in front of his house, or is the grave somewhere else? Yeah, Ronnie Joe, the thing is, a lot of the celebrities are in very locked down areas of the cemetery that you can't just go to. Have you seen the movie Soul on Disney? I haven't yet. I know that Joelle just did her podcast episode where she talks about movies and TV shows and things that feature death and funerals. She just covered that movie, and I have not watched it. So me and my girls need to watch it. I don't know if my girls would get into it. A lot of the Disney movies that most people like, they just don't get into. But I think I would like to watch it because it does look interesting. Hey, Happy New Year. Is it still okay to cry 2 years after the passing of my parents? It's okay to have a cry once in a while, but if you're not controlling your emotions and you can't function because of the sadness, then that's not okay. You need to go speak to somebody, and you need to get some help and therapy and have somebody help you through that. It's okay to be sad. I don't think you ever go to a point where you're not carrying some form of sadness somewhere in you. But if that sadness is ruling your everyday, if it's incapacitating you in ways after 2 years there, that's not okay. So what did I get for Christmas? What did I get for Christmas? I got a jewelry, like an organizer. I don't have like fancy jewelry because my girls always take it and wear it and then lose it. So I buy like paparazzi jewelry or whatever, but got a big jewelry organizer. I don't even know, some clothes, some like face masks, nothing crazy off the wall. A blanket. All right. When at the graveside, how long does a funeral director have to stay? Do you have to stay till the entire thing is finished? Yes, we're supposed to, in some states by law, stay until like the vault is sealed on around the casket. I like cremation and don't like the hot water part. I don't want to boil. Is that crazy? So there's two versions of water cremation. In the one that's in my most recent video, the water does not boil. The machine actually shuts off if the water gets to a point that it's about to boil. It does not boil. It's just warm water that activates the chemicals more. It never boils. So you're not in there boiling like, a chicken in a pot or anything. I cried so hard over the wrestler that just died. What wrestler just died? I know I saw some people posting about a wrestler that just died. Why do they wrap a dead person's head in plastic in an embalming room when they prep them? I've never wrapped a person's head in plastic. Sometimes we may lay like a thin layer of like saran wrap over the person's face with that Kaline cream, which is that moisturizer, if they're going to be held for a long duration before burial. We don't put their head in a plastic bag or anything. All right, guys, I have to cut off. I'm going to be getting on a business call here at 10 o'clock. So got to stay on schedule today. Got lots going. I got some state videos. I think I'm doing 3 state videos later. So we're getting to the end of the state videos. I still have some to do. So watch for that list to be posted again and to help fill in some of those last ones, like Alaska. Got nobody in Alaska. So some of these states I still need to fill in viewers from in order to interview me. So watch for that list to post. Thank you guys for your support, for your week. Thanks, Black Greek Mafia. If I get time later, maybe I'll pop on again for another live since I've been slacking the last couple weeks. So take care, guys. Enjoy your Friday.